Hi there and welcome to Thursdays with Annette. I'm so excited about being in my kitchen this Thursday with you, and I'm going to show you a fabulous recipe. It's out of book 7, which is one of my favorites, and it's so good it gets a front cover picture of the meat section, and it's this recipe here, and it's the crusted pork steak with an apricot sauce. I mean, apricots and pork, fabulous. There is variation, so if you don't like pork, I'll tell you about that later. But this is what I'm going to make for you today, and I hope you can sit back and relax and enjoy some time with me in my kitchen. Now, for winners, you know, you'll be notified if you are one of the winners from the show. So stay tuned for that at the end, and I'll tell you how you can be a winner and you can get a personally signed copy for yourself of book 7. So let's look at the ingredients we need for this, because we've got a crust, we've got a sauce, and we've got the steaks. So what we're going to need for the crust, and this is what goes on top of your pork steak, is apricots, dried apricots, some onion. I've got some panko breadcrumbs, and this is what the panko is. It's really different to normal breadcrumbs, and if you've never tried them, when you do, you're going to love them because they're really crispy. They don't absorb the oils and that too much or moisture, so they're always crunchy. They're my favourite breadcrumbs. Of course, they're not gluten-free, but they're definitely really a great option, and we're using them in this recipe today because I wanted to get that crusty, crispy top to the pork. So we're going to use the panko, dried apricots, we've got onion. I'm going to use some dried rosemary in this because I just think that's all beautiful when you're thinking of what's going in this recipe. We've got some crushed garlic. You can always use fresh garlic if you wish. I've got some Flora-Lite margarine that I'm going to melt in a minute in the microwave, skim milk, and that's kind of the first stage. The next one is we're going to cook the steaks, and here you can see I've got 3. I've actually cooked 3 off just to save a bit of time, and so you do cook them off, you seal them. You don't actually cook them, you seal them and then put the crust on in the oven. So it's super easy, this recipe, but so delicious, and I love doing it when I'm looking for just that little bit fancy dinner, especially if you've got guests coming. So you need, with the pork, you need 6 150 gram, you know, roughly about that. It's a bit hard sometimes when you're buying in a pack, but that's what you're to aim for. And it's the loin, the very lean pork loin steak, and it's delicious. And as I said, I'll tell you about variations later. Now, with the apricot sauce, and I think this is just the perfect thing to go over it, you're going to use some apricot nectar, some sweet chili, soy sauce, stock powder, and we're going to thicken it with some corn flour as well. So it is going to be on like Donkey Kong, people. Let's get cooking. So let's do this first. Okay, I'm going to do the margarine and melt it. I always put some cling wrap over the top because I really don't want to have to clean my microwave too often. So I'm going to put that in. Oh no, let me do that on a lower temp. I never do it on that full because it just splatters everywhere. All right, let me get my trusty little knife out, and I've already measured out the half cup. And what you want to do is you want to just small dice, because they've got to sit on the top. So you don't want big chunks. You want it all to sit nicely. And so I love the dried apricots, and they're so good for you. I'll tell you about that later, because you just don't realise how certain foods can really benefit your health and well-being, and definitely apricots are one of those magic healthy things. So thank you for joining me today. We're in the kitchen making crusted pork steak with apricot sauce, and it's just one of those ones. I've never made it on the show before, so I'm a bit excited. And really, once, you know, you just make the crust, cook off the steak, and then you make a quick sauce. So you can see it's not hard, but it's got a bit of a wow factor to it, I think, and it's just a little bit fancier. All right, so let's talk about the variations that you can do with this one. So if you're not a pork person, you know, so some people are not big on pork, I think it's fabulous, but you can replace it with lamb. I think because of the apricot, I kind of feel lamb steaks would be fantastic, as well the good old chook. So the chicken breast with the apricot would be fantastic. And for vegans, you know, you could actually do it with tofu steaks and put the crust on the top of that. All right, so we're chopping up. See, I'm not doing big pieces of apricot, so that's important. And when you make this, like, you can freeze it. So I think, you know, that if you have leftovers, it won't matter. But if this makes 6, so it's, you know, it is a family meal. But if you are thinking, oh, there's only the 2 of us at home, this is not in the Cooking for 1 or 2 books, but very easy. If you look at the ingredients, you could very easily chop this down to make 3. I think 2 would be a bit hard, but 3, it's just a quick halving, you know, like instead of 1.5 cups of the breadcrumbs, it would be, what, 3/4 of a cup. So that's easy. Oh my gosh. So we've had Mother's Day last week. We've had so many public holidays in Queensland. We had 3 in a row. It's been crazy here. All right. Let's just give it a quick little go over. Oh, I love apricots. They are so great. Now I'm just going to put them straight in to the panko mix because all of this is going to just be going into the crust. There we go. The next thing I have to chop up is the onion. And we just want 1/3 cup, but we do want it finely diced. So let me show you a really easy way about doing finely diced. So you go in, I've got a bit of apricot there. Okay, go in. This is how you know I always chop up onion. Then instead of going like this, go very close to each one. And this will really help make the fine diced onion. And we only need 1/3 of a cup. So I've got my cup measure here, and then just go down nice and close. See, normally when I'm dicing, I would probably go to there, but I'm going to go right to the edge, as close as you can to get that fine onion. So that's how you can do fine diced onion. And then I always like to just go over it again to make sure. Okay, so let's measure that and see. I think we've got 1/3 of a cup there. Let's have a look. That's 1/3 of a cup. So into the panko. All right, so we're done with the chopping. And now we're just going to make the rest of what needs to go into the crust. So that's a teaspoon of crushed garlic. So, you know, obviously you can make your own fresh garlic if you wish. I'm just going to do it the easy peasy way. Thank you very much. We're going to also put in 1.5 teaspoons of dried rosemary. So, which I might use the 2 teaspoon one. And see, what I love about these is you can move them down. So now it's 1.5 teaspoons. And rosemary and pork go really well together, as well as with apricots. All right, so the last thing we're going to do is now combine the milk with the margarine. All right, so you can see it's not hard to do. All I've really got to do for the whole recipe is to really just chop up onion and apricots. I always put the milk into the margarine, not the other way around, because that way I get all the margarine that's there, and it just combines really well that way. And I always use a glass measure cup when I'm using a microwave. Actually, what I might do is I might mix this up first. Let's just put them together, and then we're just going to add in the wet mix. I might turn on my fry pan as well, because I want to fry off my pork steaks. Look at this. So just combining that all together and mixing that garlic in as well. All right, so now in goes the wet. And let's mix that in. And that'll help hold it onto the pork crust. Let's get the fingers in, people, yes. There we go. Yes, that really will help hold this together on top of the pork. All right, so I'm going to give that another go in a minute, but I want those pork steaks on. So we're going to use the fry pan with the rice bran spray. And the reason we do that is because it holds a high temperature opposed to other sprays, which really helps with the Neoflam pans. All right. Oh, I love the sizzle. As I said, I've done three up already. Now, we need that for 1 minute. So I always love, for a minute, I just go over to my oven and just put a minute on that. So what we're doing is actually sealing the steak. We're not actually cooking it, we're just sealing it off. So we're getting a browning on it. All right, we're good here. Let me move this. Clean up my mess. All right. Don't need that anymore. I'm going to bring these over here because they will be the sauce. Don't need that anymore. So there's my cooked steaks. Yeah. And then what we've got to do is we have to divide this up. Now, if you're looking at this breadcrumb mix, remember you can do it with gluten-free breadcrumbs. They are not the same as panko. Oh, hello. Stop. But obviously if you can't have the bread, you are going to want to do that. All right, turn them over. As I said, we're just sealing them off. Another minute. And then we're going to put on top this crust. And remember, it's got the garlic and the onion, the apricots. It's just really got a beautiful flavour. But what really brings it all together is the apricot sauce. And with that sweet chilli and soy in it, it just gives a little bit more savoury to the apricot. Now, as I said, remember, you can easily halve this. You know, it's not hard to do. But the advantage of dried apricots, let's talk about the health of them, because I think they're just packed with vitamin A and good percentage of iron, so good for women as well. It's loaded, apricots are loaded with potassium and antioxidants, and they do have some zinc in them as well, which I think sometimes we're a bit lacking, especially women. I think, you know, men maybe too, but women especially. So, you know, that is a really good thing to think about apricots. So we're not only getting the dried apricots, we're getting the nectar. And this is the can I bought for that. Hello? See, I would never know what a minute is if I didn't do that. Alright. So let's put these onto the tray. Now, as you can see, let me just move this and put that in my, soak that. We can get rid of this now. Gives more room. There we go. Now, I love things to look really fabulous. And so because the pork loins, you know, when you take the fat off and things like that, sometimes you'll get this little tail bit. And what I've worked out to do, and I've done that with these, is I get a toothpick and I just stick it right through. I hide it a little bit, but remember maybe to take it out before you serve it. And just push it in. So you see what I'm doing here? I'm bringing it in so it's together. And I've just poked out a little bit there. You can sort of see here. So I know where it is to take it out. But I kind of like to do it like this when we're cooking it. So toothpick in and just bring that in. It just holds it together a little bit. See, looking a bit fabulous. All right, now we need to put the breadcrumbs on the top. So I'm going to have to weigh this because it says to divide it into 6. Now, I'm afraid I don't want to run out for the sixth, one. So I'm a bit pedantic and I like to weigh it and measure it out so everyone gets the equal amount. You don't have to, you might just be able to guess it. But what I'm going to do, I brought the thing to 0. And it now weighs, Billy's got his calculator ready, thank you Mr. Sym. It's 279. So what's that divided by 6? 46 and a half. So let's put that back on. Oh, I've turned it off. So 46. All right. So let's see what that looks like. 46. Where are you? So, I mean, it might seem like it takes a bit of time, but this is how I'm going to do it because I want to have them right. So I've now got the crumbs, and I'm just going to press that in to the top of the pork and flatten it. Look at that. Now we need to do another 47. And you actually could change the rosemary if you didn't want to use rosemary and maybe do basil or any other herb that you really love. But this mix just goes on, as I said, you press it in, press it onto the steak. All right. So this is going to go in the oven for 30 minutes? No, 20 minutes. About 20 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue here doing this, put them in the oven, and then we'll be back once they're cooked and we'll make the sauce and finish it all off. Alrighty, so I'll see you back soon. Won't be long. Alright, I'm going to start making the sauce now. And so what we start with, we need the saucepan here. I'm going to always shake up the nectar because it can sort of have separate in the can. And I want 1.5 cups. Oh, there's my chops. That was good timing. All right, so 1.5 cups. There we go. Let me just grab the chops. Oh, they look great. Oh, yeah. Ooh, yum. Look at that. Aren't they fabulous? Oh my gosh, and I love how you can see the bits of the apricot. Let's just put that very hot pan. I have got, what's this called, Bill? Granite. So I love it because I'm just one of those people that will chop on the bench and you can put the heat things on it like that as well. So I'll serve that up in a minute, but we need the sauce because it brings it all together. All right, so we want 1/2 cups apricot nectar. All right, then we're going to put in a teaspoon of garlic because I put garlic in everything. I can't help myself. But I think it balances. It's like in the new More Cooking for 1 or 2, I've done a chicken apricot stir fry, and it's really on the theme of the old apricot chicken with the French onion soup and that. And I just find putting these extra little things in like this balances that real sweetness of the apricot. So we want 2 teaspoons of the chicken stock powder. We also need a teaspoon of soy sauce, and I always use the low salt one, of course. I can smell those pork chops. They are fabulous. And then we want 2 tablespoons of sweet chili sauce. So you can, oh, not too quick. We've got lots of banging flavours in this recipe today. There we go. All right, and then the last thing is corn flour. So I'm just going to mix this all together. I haven't got the heat on at the minute, I'm just making it all together. And now we're going to do 1.5 tablespoons of corn flour. So I always press it down firmly so we make sure we get the right amount. And then half. And remember I said it'd be really quite easy to halve this recipe. All right, let's whip it together. Mix that corn flour in, and now turn it on. All right. So that's basically the recipe. You've done your crumbs on the top, the beautiful crusted pork, and then you put the sauce over. Now, you can serve them with salad or vegetables, it's up to you. It's just one of those ones that works all seasons. Now, next week's show, oh my gosh, I'm so excited, it's my favourite recipe. Dare I say that? Because I'm a scone lover. I love a scone. And if you've had trouble making scones, or you look at it and go, oh no, mine come out like, you know, golf balls, then you need to be here next Thursday, because I'm going to show you how to make the most fabulous, wonderful, light scones on this show. They are so great. And I'll talk about the other scones I have as well, so you'll get an idea of the different flavours you can make with scones. I actually do a scone buffet as an afternoon tea. Oh yes, I'll tell you all about that next week. All right. Now, if you wanted to go and check any of my recipes out, or more tips, or what's happening, go to simplytoogood.com.au and you'll find lots of things there for you. Now, I haven't got this on a super high temp because I was a bit worried about overheating it too quickly, but up to you. And once this is boiled, it's done, because then it'll thicken. It's not a really, really thick sauce. It's just there to glaze over the pork. And I tend to, when I have visitors, I actually tend to, you know, put the sauce on at the very end so that it doesn't sort of soften the crust. You could even actually just put this into a gravy bowl and let people put on how much they want. But the problem is, of course, if you get someone that takes too much, you're not going to be happy if you're the last person. That is, once again, it's enough for 6. Looking fabulous. All right. Here we go. All right, so I might plate this up and show you how I'm going to do it. Here we go. I've done some beans and some carrots ahead. Here we go. Now I need my lifter. Let's go with the closest pork on the top. A little bit like the picture actually, isn't it? Look, with the beans. And now I'm just going to add some of this beautiful apricot sauce. There we go. Absolutely magnificent. Another Thursday done and dusted. Boom! I mean, who knew weight loss could be so deliciously healthy? Oh my God, Crusted Pork Steaks, Book 7. Do you want to win Book 7? Of course you do. So all you have to do is like, share in that Facebook group, on the Simply Too Good page, and then in the comments, this is the important part, you have to add hashtag Simply Too Good. Remember, with the Y and the 2, hashtag Simply Too Good, and I'll pick 3 people, and you'll get notified personally from me that you're a winner, and then I post it in the Thursday morning of next week so everyone else can celebrate those winners. Well, I'm a bit impressed with myself. What do you think, Billy? Is it a bit fabulous? Yeah. Yes. Hey, it's his lunch. A late lunch, very late lunch, but that's okay. Anyway, guys, you take care. Thank you so much for spending some time with me in my kitchen today, and I'll be back again. Remember, it's all about scones next week. Oh yes, take care. Bye now.